It's been almost 2 years now since I first visited Brett in his tiny house. Today I'm back at this stunning location to see how he's getting on.
Go Bryce.
G'day Brett.
Welcome out again.
Good to see you again, mate.
Yes. Welcome.
It's been a long time.
That's a couple of years.
Couple of years now,
Yeah.
yeah. And you're still in the same spot I see, aren't you?
Loving it. No need to move.
How has that all worked out with actually being on this spot? Because when I first met you, you had an agreement with the landowner that you were going to do some carving and some work on the property. Is that still how it's all playing out here?
Yeah, well I started off, I wasn't working, so I was doing a lot of work in the gardens, and I completely changed up the whole garden scene here and caught up a lot with pulling out all the old weeds and mingy vines that was starting to choke everything. And then when I got a job, I started paying just a little bit minimal ground rent, and just carried on like that. It's easy.
Do you find it easier working like that? Is it easier just to pay rent and not have to do the labour? Do you find that a better arrangement, or do you kind of miss the old agreement?
I think the landlord probably misses the old agreement, because when I was doing the old gardening, I was in the garden for an hour, hour and a half at least every day. If you are paying rent, then he's actually getting a better deal with my time doing the gardens. But for some people it's different, and I just enjoyed being in the gardens and making the place look good.
And how are you finding the location in general?
There can be a little bit testing sometimes because there's no cell phone reception and I've got no internet, but that's also quite a cool thing about it, is you don't have your phone going off all the time. If I want to get a little bit of reception, I walk up a hill over there and I stand up on top of the hill and I walk around with my phone like this, and I get 1 to 2 bars of reception, and that's enough to get a message,
Yeah.
a text message. And on the very rare occasion I've actually been able to call out, but that's it. So living with minimum reception can have its advantages, and it can be a pain in the ass sometimes, because I've got to get in my car and drive into town to make sure I can make a phone call.
Now, I think that you were one of the very first tiny homes to actually be completely off the grid. How's that working out for you?
It's great. Like, my bills are about $5 a week, and that's with propane gas, because I burn one 9 kg tank of propane gas every 5 weeks, and it's like $25 for a fill. So that's my bill. It's $5 a week. And my water, I collect all my own water, and there's nothing else I need. So it's great. Living off the grid definitely has its advantages of not receiving those evil bills you get in your letterbox. I don't have to deal with that.
So you have 380 litres of onboard water storage.
Yes.
How are you getting on with that? Are you finding that enough, or is that a challenge?
It's enough. Yeah, I watch it. Like, I'm not, I don't splash the water around, that's for sure. I'm very careful with the water use, and I manage. If I have a girlfriend staying, then I certainly go through the water a lot faster. The pros and cons of having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I just by myself, 380 litres I've managed, and this year there wasn't a drought. So we had the odd bit of rain that I was able to collect, and I've kept on top of it.
Well, I'm really keen to see inside and see how everything's looking now.
A few little changes. It's a little more homely.
Oh, wow. This place is still looking fantastic, eh?
Still got a nice feel to it.
This is new, isn't it?
Yes.
The
well,
pot-belly
it's
stove?
new old.
New old,
It's
right.
very old, but it's new. That came out of a 1954 Bedford house bus from Waiheke Island, and it was a gift. So one day I'll bring it home and carrying it on the ferry back to Auckland and install that. And as you see the tiles around the top, I've still got to extend up a little bit the fire guard in the back, because it's the heat is still getting to the wall. That's why I've just put the tiles there.
Right.
But that is fantastic. I won't even use the full basket of pine cones in an evening. I'll use like a small bucket of pine cones in a night, and you're sitting around in a t-shirt. It takes nothing to warm a small place like this up.
And what about the kitchen space? How are you finding that?
That's great. I use this space a lot for different things, all sorts of projects and stuff. This is fantastic. I don't know why people would build less,
Yeah.
because it's all used. It might not look used right now, it's very tidy, but I use every inch of it
Yeah.
for different things. You know, I'm preparing my food next to projects like my little models and my little art things, so it's very handy.
That really goes to show, even if you're not necessarily using a space for one thing, it always has multiple purposes.
Yeah.
So even if it's just because it's in the kitchen doesn't mean it has to be used for kitchen things.
I knew when I was building this that I was going to need some working area. You know, it's kind of like my workshop. If it's not too dirty, I can work with my stuff in here. But if it gets dirty, then I go outside and work on a table outside.
What about your bathroom setup? How's that working out?
It's fine. The only thing that isn't working great is my shower. It's almost too big.
Because it is quite a large shower with the shower and
Yeah.
everything there as
Yeah.
well, eh?
You really don't need it that big.
Yeah.
And so I'd better to remove like this much of that and devote that little space to having a small sink here, because you're only in it for 10 minutes a day, so you don't need to take up so much space.
And what about the composting toilet? How have you been finding that?
Great, no problem at all. Using the old pine sawdust,
Gotcha.
yes, no problem at all. I empty it like once a week, and I empty it into a purpose-built compost that I built, about 50 metres that way.
Now your bathroom and your kitchen area are divided by this clever curtain contraption. How are
Yep.
you finding that? How's that working out?
For me, it's fine. It's minimalist. If I've got a group of people around here and somebody wants to go to the loo, it's not very private, so they might feel a little bit conscious just being behind a curtain doing their business. I only put that basically to take care of myself. Eventually you'd put like a folding door here.
Gotcha.
And my subsequent designs, I have like a three-way door that will fold in and out to make it a little more private. And so nobody's going to hear the noises of going to the toilet.
Good idea. Good idea.
Otherwise it's fine, you know, I've got plenty of room in here for space for drying off or going to the bathroom, and when it's not in use, you just put it back and you gain all that vital floor space back.
Which is really clever,
So
isn't it?
basically I'm standing where I was just now, but now I'm in the kitchen.
And your sleeping loft, how are you finding that area?
Comfy, my little haven.
See, this is really a comfortable space, isn't it?
Super cozy.
It's interesting because since I first visited you, I've obviously seen a lot more tiny houses, and this is still one of the most spacious loft areas. The design and this roof profile really has given you so much extra space up here, hasn't it?
Definitely. It creates an airflow that comes in this window, it comes over me here, it drops down, and then I get the hot air from the house coming up this slope here on the ceiling, and it goes out that window.
Right.
So that's what I didn't know it was going to quite work like that, and I guess it does change with the breezes, but if there's no wind at all, that's what happens. It's
Perfect.
fantastic.
Great design.
And so far, have not needed a fan. So one of the things I enjoy about just how this design turned out is the handrail aspect. I haven't needed to install a purpose handrail, because this here I could swing on that, and this is good and solid that I can just support myself all the way down to the bottom.
And how are you finding your office and project space here?
Very, very well used. Sometimes I'll have a meal here, I'll watch a video or something on my computer, I do my drawing, I make my little models, my house design models in card. This over here I can move to give me a little more space. So I can put that up there or here, and opens up more space here.
Gotcha.
Hey, look at that. There's a little girl drew that.
Very
How cool
cute.
is that?
I think there's a striking resemblance. And the lounge area back here. This is all looking very comfortable still.
It is comfortable. It could be more comfortable, I feel, because this is nice, but it doesn't. It's not conducive to cuddling. If you're on a big, nice, comfy couch, you're nice and laid back, and you have a nice cuddle. This is more functional.
Right.
I think if you want a nice, really comfy space, then maybe you make it slightly wider or something. But because my tank is underneath it, I had to make it functional.
Sure.
So it's adequate. It's not like your big, cushy couch.
So it works, but it's very much the bachelor model.
It's the bachelor model.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you've been in this space now for 2 years. How would you say this is working out for you?
This is one of the best things I've ever done. It's freed me up. You know, I haven't actually had a job for the last 11 months, and I haven't been stressed one little bit, because if your bills are like $5 a week, and if you can live cheaply for, you know, cooking for yourself, and you know you're not a heavy drinker or a heavy smoker, then you can survive very cheaply. And this has taken the whole stress out of needing to go and find a job. You know, take any job, you know, because the film industry has been quiet recently, and there's just been no opportunities for work. So I do my own projects, I do my own designing or my other hobbies, and I just keep myself busy.
So after all of this time in the space, is there anything you really don't like about a tiny house?
I like a garage.
More space for the projects.
More space for the workshop, the projects. Maybe somewhere to keep the car covered. Not many pitfalls. It's all pretty good. I mean, I'm warm. I got my water. I got my gas and everything. It's all covered. I just don't have that big, fat, cushy couch that some people slob out in. But that's all right.
So how are you finding this space for entertaining and having guests over?
Yeah, people quite enjoy it. I've had a few people come and stay several times. Had overseas visitors come. I've had people camping outside and sleeping on the couch here. It's fine. There's plenty kitchen space, and that three burner stove is plenty. There's enough room in the fridge. That's fine. If you want cold beers, you have a chili bin. Bring some ice.
What advice would you have for people who are either building a tiny house or who are in the design phase right now and thinking, what do I need to consider when I'm constructing this space?
I think that's just down to doing some good research online and looking at all the designs. What I've done here is my design I made as a little model to be able to see it proportion wise. I made it 4 centimeters equals a meter, and I have my loft that I can pull out and I can look underneath. And so if you're wondering about a final design, then make a little model of it. And then you can go, nah, that doesn't quite work or whatever. You could even chop it out and rearrange it.
It is so good to see you here in this house and really get an idea of how this space is working for you. I'm so happy to know that you're really enjoying your time here. And I think when I first saw this design, it was really innovative and really clever. And it just goes to show how when you pay that extra attention in the design process and really think something through, that you can actually construct a small space that will work for you in the long term, eh?
Definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah, no regrets.
Thank you so much for showing me around, mate. It's great to see you
welcome.
again. For a lot of people who are considering building a tiny house, one of the big question marks surrounding it is, how is this space going to work for me long term? I think Brett's scenario really goes to show just how well a small space can work if it's designed appropriately. And now, not only is it providing a great alternative living solution for him, it's also opening up a whole new world of opportunities. For Brett, this space isn't just a home. It's also freedom, and it really is the opportunity for him to live a larger life. I don't think that's something that any of us would say no to.